As human beings, we often wear different hats at the same time. Joseph is an example of someone who wore many hats all at once. The interesting thing about Joseph is the fact that in each situation, he acted according to the hat that he was wearing. And the first hat that Joseph wore was that of being a leader. This is what the Bible says in Genesis chapter 41, verse 39 to 44. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Since God has made all things known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders." He's being given leadership responsibilities. "Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you, Joseph." So Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I hereby put you in charge of the whole land of Egypt." Then Pharaoh took his signet ring from his finger and put it on Joseph's finger. He dressed him in robes of fine linen and put a gold chain around his neck. He had him ride in a chariot as his second in command, and men shouted before him, "Make way!" Thus he put him in charge of the whole land of Egypt. Then Pharaoh said to Joseph, "I am Pharaoh, but without your word no one will lift hand or foot in all Egypt." Joseph is wearing the hat of leadership. God raises him to a position of leadership. And as the second in command, Joseph faithfully served Pharaoh. As the second in command, Joseph helped to solve the problem of famine in the land of Egypt. He was a leader. Well, the second hat Joseph wore was that of being a brother. When Joseph's brothers went in search of food, he initially spoke so harshly to them. We see this in chapter 42 to 44. But later, he reveals himself to them in chapter 45 of Genesis. He is kind to them. He offers them forgiveness. He settles them down, and offers provisions for them. And this is what Genesis chapter 50, verse 18 to 21 tells us. His brothers then came and threw themselves down before him. "We are your slaves," they said. But Joseph said to them, "Don't be afraid. Am I in the place of God? You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. So then don't be afraid. I will provide for you and your children." And he reassured them and spoke kindly to them. He plays his role by wearing the hat of a brother. Friend, you have many hats you are wearing, I believe. You are working somewhere. You have some responsibilities. You have a career that you're pursuing. You're wearing that particular hat of maybe being a teacher. But when you go home, you are relating to your siblings as a brother, as a sister. You're not relating to them as a CEO, as a boss. Yes, one head, many hats. Well, the third hat that Joseph wore was that of being a son. As a son, Joseph provided for his father. In Genesis chapter 47, verse 5 and 6, Pharaoh said to Joseph, the Bible says, "Your father and your brothers have come to you, and the land of Egypt is before you. Settle your father and your brothers in the best part of the land. Let them live in Goshen. And if you know of any among them with special ability, put them in charge of my own livestock." So he had responsibility towards his father also. He settles his father and the rest of the family in the best land, the most fertile land. He remembered he was wearing the cape of a son. He remembered his father, even as a leader. Friends, don't forget your parents. You have some responsibility towards them. You know, as a son, he showed respect to his father by even introducing him to Pharaoh. In verse 7 of Genesis 47, we read, then Joseph brought his father Jacob in and presented him before Pharaoh. And Jacob blessed Pharaoh. He had so much respect, he realized he was wearing a hat of being a son, and realized, hey, I have to introduce this old man to my boss. I have to introduce this old man to the king, to Pharaoh. Pharaoh has to know my papa. He realized he was wearing a hat of being a son. Well, the last hat that was worn by Joseph was that of being a father. He was a father. As a father, he makes sure he introduces his sons who were born to him in Egypt to the rest of the family, and especially to his father, their grandfather. I also believe that apart from just introducing them and taking them to their grandfather, so to speak, and the rest of the family, that Joseph was a responsible father. I believe as a father, Joseph must have played with his children. He must have read bedtime stories with them. If he liked jogging, maybe he went jogging with them some evenings as a father, not as a leader, not, as a prime minister. He was just a father to them. Dear ones, I believe that we all face the multi-hat challenge on a daily basis in our lives. And it's so easy to kind of concentrate on this hat that gives you prominence and recognition and much satisfaction, and forget about these other hats. But that should not be. My question to us is, what hat are you required to wear? How can you make sure you balance them all and that no responsibility you have suffers? One head, many hats. That's possible.